Welcome to Fun Maths. Today we'll be looking at bearing and distance while using easy steps to solve the problem. A hiker walks 5 kilometers south and then 12 kilometers east. Find the distance and bearing from the starting point to the end point. From our cardinal points, we know that this is north, east, west, and south, right? So if the man was here, walking 5 kilometers south is moving downwards. So let's say he was here, he moved 5 kilometers south, he moved downwards. We'll call this A, we'll call this B, and then 5 kilometers is the distance. And then from there, he moves 12 kilometers east, which is this direction. Okay, so we're going to move from B towards the eastern part, we'll call this C. And then this is 12 kilometers. You can now join these two lines together. Okay, now find the distance and bearing from the starting point to the end point. This is the starting point, this is the end point. So the first thing we're looking at, which is the distance, is the value of this line here. What is the kilometer that we are going to have here? Let's call this x, right? Now by Pythagoras theorem, we know that the square of the hypotenuse, just going to write the square of the hypotenuse is equals to the square of the opposite, I'm putting them in short form, plus the square of the adjacent. What is the hypotenuse? The hypotenuse is the side in a shape that is facing the right angle. This is the right angle, is the point where the right angle is formed. And in most cases, for you to get it easy, is the longest part. Okay, so this is our hypotenuse. The square of this is equals to the square of the opposite plus the square of the adjacent, or the square of the opposite plus the square of the adjacent. So x squared, which is hypotenuse, will be equals to opposite plus adjacent. Any of them, is I'm going to use any of them as my opposite and my adjacent for this question. So I can take 5 square plus 12 square. So x square will be equals to 5 square is 25, 12 square is 144, 144. 25 plus 144 is 169. So this is x square equals to 169. Get value of x, take the square root of both sides. X will be equals to the square root of 169. I know normally you write plus and minus here, right? But we don't need a negative kilometer. We don't need a negative distance. So I'm just going to skip that part. So x should be equals to the square root of 169, which is 13. Okay, that's the distance. Please put that in units, 13 kilometers. That's the distance, right? Now, we are told to find the bearing also. The bearing. How do we get the bearing? The bearing from the starting point A to C. Alright, so for that to be possible, we need to find, this is, let's call that theta. So it makes this the adjacent, right? So we need to find the value of theta. This is supposed to be 90 degrees from this part to this part. If we get the value of theta, we subtract it from 90, we'll be able to get the bearing from A here to C. Subtract the value of theta you get from 90 degrees, be able to get the bearing from A to C. So how do we get the theta? That's the first problem. We have opposite, we have adjacent, although we have hypotenuse, but I want to reduce the problem. So let's use opposite and adjacent, which is tangent. Remember, so katwa, opposite hypotenuse, adjacent hypotenuse, opposite adjacent. So I have opposite, no, I have adjacent and opposite, right? So I have tan, let's put this, tan theta will be opposite, which is 12, 12 over 5. We're not looking for tan theta, we are looking for theta. So let's get the inverse of tangent for each of them, which is theta will be tan inverse of 12 over 5. It's like you are dividing both sides by tan, so this will cancel out. The tan inverse of 12 over 5 is 67.38. So this is 67.38. As I said before, that is theta. But to get the bearing from A starting point to the end point C, subtract theta from 90 degrees. So 90 degrees minus theta is 90 degrees minus 67.38, which is 22 point, I think that would be 62 degrees. That's my final answer. If you have any question, any comments, please leave that in the comment section. Like this video, share, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Till meet again, bye bye.